You are watching the second part of the first lesson from the course Programming in C++. We will work with a few examples that will teach us how to output an information from the program on C++ to the console. At the first part of the lesson, we have downloaded files with the code examples from the website ongradient.com. There are comments in these files. We use comments in the source code in order to make a note or explain something. Comment is a part of the source code which is not pursued by the compiler and is used for reminders and explanations. There are two types of comments. The first of them is known as line comment. You may write everything in the line after a pair of slash signs. The second one is known as block comment. It starts with slash asterisk, then you type your comment. It's possible to write several lines and finish them with asterisk slash. Open the first example of the first lesson, 0101 CPP. It consists of source code with comments. The numbers in the name of the file mean the number of the lesson and the number of the example for this lesson. Compile and run this example. You will see that the program will do nothing. There are only comments in the body of the program, so it does nothing. Let's work with the next example. It shows how to output data to the console. The string, the sentences, must be limited from the left and from the right with double quotes. Cout, this is the console output stream. We insert our string into this stream using insertion operator less. Endl is end line manipulator. We will work with this command in the next example. In order to finish the statement, we use semicolon. Graphically, the output of the data to the console is shown at the figure. The data by the insertion operator is inserted to the output stream, which brings it to the console. The next example repeats the previous steps. We output the data to the console in 4 lines of the code. In the 9th line of the code, we output 2 strings at once. The second file for the first lesson contains the code from the slide. Let's work with it. Comment the second part of the source code. Compile and run the program. In the console, we will get next result. Take out the end line manipulator and save the file. Compile it and run again. You see that the result is different. Now 2 strings are written in the same or 1 line in the console. So Endl lets us to output strings in the console from new line. If you want the string to be written from the new line in the console, use Endl at the end of the previous one. Comment first 2 lines in the file and uncomment all the rest. Don't forget to save and compile the file. Run it again. Here is the result. Take out some of the end line manipulators at the source code. Try to understand what will the result take form. Don't forget, use semicolon at the end of the statements. The third example of the lesson. The base part of the code was supplemented in the second line. Look attentively at the 5th and 6th line of the code. Here we declare 2 variables that will contain strings. When we declare a variable, we give the compiler an information about necessary value of the memory which we want to use later in our program. You have to declare a variable before you start to use it. A variable you can imagine as a box or container where you may put something. When we are declaring a variable, we must set the name and the type of the variable. That is to say, what the variable will be contain. Here two variables were declared, str01, str02. We have set their type. It is string, so these variables will contain strings. Details of the variables and their types we will learn later in the next lesson. After declaration, their variables are empty. Their values are undetermined. Now turn your attention to the line 8 and 9 of the program. Here we initialize variables. Initialization should be understood as assigning a value to the variable. It is possible to say that during initialization we put something into the box, if a variable is a box. After initialization, a variable is not empty or undetermined. It has value. At the 11th line of the code, we output the value of variable to the console. Unlike the previous example, we output to the console not just a string, but the value of the variables. You have to understand and remember the terms declaration and initialization of a variable. If you have seen somewhere here a library or an object, well, I am glad for you, but this lesson is for beginners. Compile and run third example for the lesson. We as well have output data to the console, but have done it with variables. The second part of the lesson is over. In the next part, we will learn how to read data from the console.